Hey everyone, I'm Ayara and welcome back to the Boto alien spaceship. As you can see, today's video is a bit different because today I want to show you everything I've done so far in my current game project. Yes, I'm back with devlog videos. I know, I'm shocked too. So the game is called Midnight Dreary and it's inspired in part by Edgar Allan Poe's famous poem The Raven, among many other things. It's a 2D side-scroller with platforming, puzzles, dialogue, exploration, stealth, and some kind of combat. We're gonna talk more about that later. If you want to know the full context and premise for the game, I highly encourage you to read the project's first devlog published on our site, that's linked below. There I talk with much more detail about all my inspirations for the game, the themes, the look I try to achieve in the final product, etc. And in the other devlogs I've posted so far, you'll also see a whole lot of other stuff that's not gonna be in this video, so be sure to check it out. But of course, I will give you a basic idea of the game here as I show you what I've implemented so far. Let's begin with our protagonist here, Edgar Thorne. He's a guitar player in an underground band and he also happens to be an exorcist. The backstory for that will be explained during the game. The story is set in this fictional small town called Omens Valley, and in this town, the week before Halloween is a special period called All Hallows Eve. During All Hallows Eve, every single year in Omens Valley, the spirits of the dead come back to the land of the living and deceased. And since they can be hostile and they're everywhere, the inhabitants of the city lock themselves in their homes and barricade the streets until the week is over and the dead go back to their land. However, some spirits need an exorcism to go back to where they belong, so that's why Edgar here has to leave his apartment, venture across the town, and exorcise a particular spirit. So now that you know the basic premise, let's see what we have in the game itself. 90% of the assets you'll see here are placeholders, but as you can see we already have a sprite for Edgar, although he doesn't have any animations yet, and he was actually one of my first attempts at pixel art. I'm definitely not an artist and this is my first time making pixel art for a game, so it's nothing mind-blowing for sure, but right now I gotta work with what I have. Something else I made that's gonna be in the final game is this skull over here, which is actually Edgar's health meter. There's no damage mechanics yet, but the animations are ready and the objects here, you just won't see it working right now. So let's move here through Edgar's apartment, and as you can see, his kitchen is all placeholders at the moment. Just some sprites I made quickly here in Construct, just so I can already have an idea of space, scale, and that kind of stuff. And right here we have another asset I made for the final product, not the door, but the arrow. It's a very simple sprite and animation I made to appear over doors and passages to tell the player, hey, you can go through here. And we'll see what's behind this door in a moment, but let's take a look at the rest of the apartment first. And this apartment is loosely inspired by Eric Draven's apartment from the movie The Crow. I wanted this look of, it looks more like a huge attic than a real apartment, you know? Even the round window is here. I thought that since Edgar is a musician in this small town, this looks more like a place he would be able to afford. So here we can see more final sprites I made, this time for items that the player can get in their inventory. First we have a record, a smaller sprite to sit in the background, and a more detailed and bigger sprite to appear when you get the item and when you see the item in the inventory. But since we don't have an inventory yet, that's all we're seeing right now. And there's also going to be text along with the detailed image saying like you got a record or something like that. But I haven't implemented that part yet. But you might be asking what purpose does the record have, and I'm gonna tell you that later. Next we have Edgar's electric guitar. Same thing, smaller and detailed sprites. And this detailed sprite for the guitar is actually the last thing I've made for the game, and I'm so proud of how it looks. I think it's really pretty. I actually like all the detailed versions of the items I made so far. So the design I chose for Edgar's guitar is the Les Paul. I think it's a very iconic design, and I wanted it to be the most expensive thing Edgar owns, his most beloved possession, so I gave him a Les Paul. And since the player can actually get the guitar in their inventory, once again, you might be wondering, what will you use it for? And what I intend to do with it is to use it as a sort of weapon. As you might have guessed, the enemies of the game will be ghosts. And the way you're gonna deal with them most of the time is by avoiding their attention. The focus of the game will definitely be the stealth, but if you see yourself surrounded by ghosts because you just attracted the attention of a lot of them at the same time, you can use the guitar to like unleash this energy that will stun the ghosts for a short period of time so you can run to safety. And that's pretty much all the combat you see in the game. You also have to use it wisely though, because you can see there's also a meter for the guitar. When you use it, the meter goes empty and it'll take a long time to fill itself entirely again, so you won't be using it all the time. The guitar meter is also another final asset I made, but I'm not really sure if it's gonna stay in this position on the screen. I'll probably change it at some point. You also won't see the guitar working yet because I haven't implemented the mechanic itself. So we have the bedroom area here, and that's basically it for this area. Let's go through his living room here, and now we'll go through this door that leads to the bathroom. And to be honest, I haven't given a specific purpose to this room. I kinda made it just so the apartment didn't feel incomplete. You know, so people don't think Edgar has to shit in a bucket. But I can probably give some sort of purpose to it later. So now let's use some sprinting to get to the front door. Don't know if the sprinting is gonna be in the final game, but when you're making a game and you have to test it 100 times a day, it's a very useful mechanic, believe me. See, that's why I think I'll be moving the guitar meter. It may bother the player obscuring the vision like that. But anyway, that's for the next devlog. As you can see, the arrow is sideways here, because the door that we're gonna go through is now to the side of the screen. Now we're outside in an alleyway, and as you can see, the way to the street is barricaded. That's why Edgar will have to find new ways to navigate through the town. And here we have a box in our way, and Edgar's jump clearly is not enough to jump over it. Edgar's jump is made for jumping over gaps in the ground and that kind of stuff. So to get up on these boxes, I started to implement a climbing mechanic. It differs a bit from the traditional platformers, which is something I like, and that's because one of the games that inspired Midnight Dreary was Tomb Raider: The Angel of Darkness, that has a really cool underground urban vibe in my opinion. So I thought climbing would be a nice mechanic to implement along with heavier controls. And when I realized this combination kinda reminded me of the original Prince of Persia game, I liked the idea even more. Of course, as you can see, this mechanic still needs a lot of polishing because I'm still testing it out. It's gonna look a lot better in the future with a pretty animation of Edgar climbing over the box and shit. And here we have another item, the soda can. This is the first healing item I've made, and it's gonna be the weakest healing item in the game. As usual, we have the tiny sprite and the detailed one, so you know the drill. And as I showed you before, we have that arrow that appears on screen to let the player know they can go through a door or path. But remember when I said there will be exploration in the game? Well, some paths won't be that obvious. The arrow is not going to appear, but it doesn't mean there's nothing there. And here's an example of that. This pipe here actually leads to another area, a secret area, if you will, that's not like a requirement to beat the game, but it will contain items, maybe collectibles. I don't know if I'll put collectibles in the game, but who knows. So that's basically the way of the game to reward the player that's really thorough, that explores the map, that the player is going to have a much more comfortable playthrough for sure. So let's go back down. You can see there is no transition yet between areas. That's for the future. And here we have this ladder that's gonna lead to the next main area, which doesn't exist yet. And that's why the arrow appears for this one. Continuing here, you'll notice this box that's different from the others, and that's because it's a hiding spot for the player, the first element of our stealth mechanic. And you can also see we have that fine gentleman there, a really happy gentleman. He's our first enemy. The basics are working, but he still needs a lot of work in his AI. I don't think I need to tell you that he's not gonna look like this in the final game, but you know, I'm saying it just to clarify. And here's the hiding mechanic, kinda working. Edgar doesn't have hiding sprites yet, so I made an event to shrink him when he's hiding for now. He can hide in both sides of the box. It doesn't look very good yet, but anyway. Let's see how our ghost behaves for now. No, he's angry now. When I get close enough, he attacks, good. And when I hide, he's not seeing me anymore. And also, if I get far enough, he stops chasing me. Right now, this distance is really short, but as I said, the AI is still a work in progress. So we jumped over that hole and we got to a dead end. I still gotta place something here that the player can get, and if we fall in the hole, we just stay here forever because we don't have a game over screen yet. So guys, I'm an idiot, of course, and I completely forgot to tell you about what the record does. So let's do this right now. Since the overall theme with Edgar's character is the music, I thought it would be cool to make a saving mechanic similar to Resident Evil's ink ribbon and typewriter mechanic, but here you have to collect records, and when you have the chance to come back to the apartment, you can use a record in this record player to save your game. Since we don't have an inventory yet to select the item to use, for the moment we can press the S key, and if you have at least one record with you, it saves your progress. And this text appears to let you know it worked. This text This text is also a final asset I made. The font in the game is basically gonna look like this, although I'm still gonna improve it a bit, and I didn't know letters were such a pain in the ass to make. But I'll be making an original pixelated font to be used in the game because I want it to look as good and unique as possible. So that's it for today. I was finally able to bring a new devlog here for the channel, and I'm very happy about it. I know I didn't show much of the process itself of the development, but this video just had to be brief, and for storage purposes I can't be recording everything I do in the game at the moment. I don't know how much you'll have to wait for the next devlog. I'll wait until I have made a significant progress, because then I'd be wasting a lot of time posting devlogs when I could be working on the game, and I have to really manage my time right now. So I really hope you enjoyed it. Next week we're gonna continue the Clock Tower playthrough. This Sunday we'll be playing more Fatal Frame on Twitch, 10 PM Brasilia time. If you want to see more of this content, subscribe, like the video if you feel like it, and comment whatever you want. See you guys later.